What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and the salt is still flowing. In fact, prices worldwide have completely crashed for table salt. If you need some, now's the time. It's actually negatively priced. If you go to your local grocery store, they give you money to take it. There's too much salt over The Last of Us 2 versus Ghost of Tsushima. Yesterday, PewDiePie finished his playthrough and outlined why he thought it was better than The Last of Us 2. And salty journos are still pouring out articles. This time, it's about how Ghost of Tsushima is getting review boosted instead of review brigaded, which I've already proved on this channel in a previous video. Now, yesterday, PewDiePie completed Ghost of Tsushima and explained why it was better than The Last of Us 2. This is from Brent Kopp over on Deserto.com. Ghost of Tsushima made its debut on PS4 July 17th and was met with overwhelming praise from critics and players. During his August 2nd stream, YouTube's biggest star PewDiePie praised the release as being beautiful. He also called The Last of Us Part 2 a mess. He goes on to talk about it and says, "I don't know how they made a game so pretty. I don't know how they did it. It's just so good. It's crazy how just a game looking nice makes you want to play it. Just graphically, it's like, wow, I love this. I want to be a part of this world." And his comments hit home, especially for me, and I think for a lot of people out there looking for something to be happy about, something to actually look forward to, something to be positive about. You know, obviously a lot of people enjoyed The Last of Us 2. It would be absurd to act like everyone hated it. I'm sure the majority of people liked The Last of Us 2. But there was a non-insignificant amount of people that strongly disliked the story, found the game boring, didn't like the long side quests, and didn't like all the drama around the game. Ghost of Tsushima just came out, was awesome, and kind of went its own way. Like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, still Game of the Year material. Now, when a viewer asked him if he would recommend the Samurai release over The Last of Us 2 sequel, he replied, "There's no doubt. This is a game you can have much more fun with. The Last of Us 2 was just dreary and annoying. Comparing it to this, my God, why was it so, Looking back on it, it makes me so angry. It makes me sad." The content creator loved the game so much, he said he plans to continue to play it off stream and complete it 100%. When asked what he would score it, he exclaimed, "It's so fun. It's been a very long time since I've enjoyed a game like that. I loved it. I would probably give it an 8.9, very close to a 9. This is where I would probably put the game too. There are still some immersion breaking mechanics or bugs in the game. Some of the game is a little tedious, but I mean, again, both nitpicks. When a viewer joked that Ghost of Tsushima was an 8 but still Game of the Year, PewDiePie agreed and said, "I could see that." Oh, Pewds. There is 0% chance Ghost of Tsushima wins Game of the Year over The Last of Us Part 2. You have to remember who's voting on these things. It's not gamers. It's about designing games around winning awards. We talked about this. The absurd rules that BAFTA, for example, has for films and video games to even qualify for an award, where they have to have a certain percentage of people who are deaf, a certain percentage of people that are different colors, a certain percentage of people with this religious background. When you design games to win awards, is what I think they did with The Last of Us Part 2, that's what you get. That's not what Ghost of Tsushima was. I don't think it will win Game of the Year. It will win some major award, though, I'm sure. He said, he also said that they could have done some things better, but he stated he was excited for a sequel. Speaking of a sequel, our good friend Paul Tassi has been writing about Ghost of Tsushima 2 has a clear hero in the waiting, a legendary woman samurai. Of course Paul would write this article. Of course. Now there is history there, but I just love this line of thinking. Like, sure, the game was good, but wouldn't have been better if it was a woman? Imagine saying this about any other video game. You know, like, Tomb Raider. Yeah, Tomb Raider was awesome, but could have been way better if it was a dude side game journal. That person would never work again. So it looks like it's a hit by Metacritic, fastest new selling IP, beloved by fans, who are comfortable proclaiming it one of PS4's best games of the generation, which, considering its competition, is a significant statement. But that raises the question, what would a Ghost of Tsushima 2 look like? By the way, I don't think all games need sequels. I think a great game can just exist. There's so many games in development that I so rarely look forward to sequels of anything. Sure, GTA is a really great example of a game that, you know, adds enough in each sequel that the game kind of stands up, but it's still Grand Theft Auto. I know I'm probably in the minority there, and that's okay. Whatever game you want to play, you know, more power to you, of course. I am, however, more focused on who would be the leading game. However, I think the time would reach the end of Ghost of Tsushima. We already have a prime candidate. I think Jin's story is done. He was a great character, but he saved his island, dealt with his family, became a ghost, and won the day. Granted, he's now a fugitive. I suppose we would continue that. They could do that. But he's talking about Tomo. The Ghost of Tsushima, one of the longest quests in the game. You run at the side of Sensei Ishikawa and take many, many twists and turns. First, you think Tomo is a young archery prodigy, was kidnapped by the Mongols. Then you learn, spoiler alert. Okay, I'm not going to go through this. Too many people aren't done with the game. But it goes on to say, yeah, that sounds like something that should be a leading samurai video game, right? Absolutely. I was already sold on Tomo leading a sequel just from what I saw of her in the game itself. I had no idea about real-life history and the famous samurai warrior, so now I'm 300% convinced that this would be the right call. A Ghost sequel is no doubt many years away, but when it does arrive, I would not be surprised to see her leading it, and it would be well-deserved. Sure, fine. This is my shocked face that a game journal is saying game would be better if woman. He's not saying it shouldn't exist with a guy, but I mean, we're already starting before the sequels even, before most people have even enjoyed the first game. You got to remember, a lot of people are going to be playing The Last of Us Part 2 and the Ghost of Tsushima for the first time on December 25th, December 26th, or whenever Hanukkah is. You know, or maybe Saint Nick, you know, Thanksgiving time. This is when a lot of people are going to still be playing these games for the first time. That's why I didn't want to go through too many spoilers. But, you know, ultimately, I think if you're looking at the gender of the protagonist before you think of the story and everything else that's involved with it, you're going to end up with problems down the line. But journalists are still salty that the game reviews are so high. Ghost of Tsushima reportedly getting boosted on Metacritic. Ghost of Tsushima is reportedly being review boosted, in contrast to the review brigading of The Last of Us 2 due to its controversial story. First of all, I and many other YouTubers have already proved that yes, there were, you know, 0 out of 10 and I didn't play the game kind of reviews. But there were also 10 out of 10s. Don't, you know, ignore the haters. This game is a masterpiece, you know, after 4 hours too. So unless Metacritic would release the scrub data, which I actually wouldn't mind, release the data of suspect reviews, you know, both in the 0 and on 1 out of 10 and the 9 and 10 out of 10s that look overwhelmingly suspect, you can't say that one is a bigger impact than the other. The allegation made by a Twitter user, while comparing the number of reviews of Ghost of Tsushima received on Metacritic compared to the games available on PS4, it was already review boosted to stick it to Naughty Dog. Game already has a higher number of user scores than Uncharted 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, Spider-Man, and these games sold way more than Ghost of Tsushima. Well, again, that's another that's another flawed logical statement. Just because there are more reviews for the game doesn't mean it's review brigaded. It means that reviews are more popular now and that people are more likely to leave a review than 2-3 years ago. I think that's certainly true enough. I think that's probably the more likely statement than you coming out and saying, well, because there's more reviews for the game, then it's obvious that these people are just review boosting it. According to the image of the tweet, many accounts have been created to give a perfect 10 to Ghost of Tsushima and scores as low as 0 to The Last of Us Part 2. By the way, I showed the exact reverse of this happening. Ghost of Tsushima getting zeros from user reviews who only had reviewed The Last of Us Part 2 and gave it a 10. Conveniently, I know this is probably going to come as a shock to most of you, but conveniently no game journalists covered that, even when I specifically told Paul Tassi about it. Now, many user reviews on the Ghost of Tsushima are also praising the Samurai Epic while criticizing The Last of Us Part 2. Game Rant reported and confirmed by Digital Trends. The review boosting is also apparent in the number of reviews that Ghost of Tsushima already received. About 14,000, with about 13,000 positive after just 2 weeks since release. In comparison, 2016 Uncharted 4, A Thieves' End, had 11,000. Just because there's more reviews doesn't mean a dang thing. This is game journalism level logic. So what? It's entirely possible that people are just more interested in reviews right now than they were 5 years ago. There weren't 1,000, 2,000 YouTubers talking about review scores every day on Metacritic. This is some Class A clownery. The inflated positive user reviews on Metacritic should not take anything away from Ghost of Tsushima, though. It's why they consider it a masterpiece. Oh, okay. So the game's still good. You just had to write an article, right? Is that what it was? Over 10 days of release, the game already racked up 57.5 million duels, 8.8 million Fox's Pet, 15.5 million images captured. Another like 20 million haikus written. And look, I'll trust the guy that played the game all the way through than some journalist who I have to assume played it. And when I can look at what PewDiePie said about both games, I can trust what he said because I know he actually played the game, unlike most game journalists who get paid to write crap like this. I hope you enjoyed this video, though. Smash like if you did, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing today. There's a red button right down below. Just click it. It'll make finding my videos so much easier, and since I cover so many different topics, I'm sure you like to just look and see what interests you and pick that, and that's cool. It just makes it easier. I hope you enjoyed this video, though. We'll talk to you again real soon.